Since Z690 has been announced, you guys have been asking to see some of the ASUS boards. So that's what we're doing today. We're checking out the ASUS ROG STRIX Z690-I gaming Wi-Fi. It's a little mini ITX board that packs a whole lot of features. So let's take a bit of a closer look. As usual with our motherboard content, these videos are not reviews, they're just overviews so we can take a bit of a look at this little beastie ITX board. And when I say that, I really mean it. It packs a whole lot of features. So let's see what's in the box and then we'll go for a little drive around the surface of this board and see where we stop and see what's good. Alright ladies and gents, let's check out the ASUS ROG STRIX Z690-I gaming Wi-Fi. But first of all, we need to get that motherboard out of the box so we can take a bit of a closer look at all of the stuff that comes with this tiny little motherboard. First up, we've got the Wi-Fi antenna for the built-in Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth. Next up is the breakout cable for the front panel connectors for your lights and all your switches to let you know that your system's on. I haven't unwrapped it here, but that's exactly what it is. Then we've got this. This is another breakout cable, but this is a breakout cable for the USB 2.0 headers on the board, just so you can add a second one here as well, because usually there's only one if you're using it that way. Next up, we've got this little board. Now, this board is quite interesting. I'm going to dive into how this works in the video as well, but basically what it is, it's a I/O board that adds additional addressable RGB, all the SATA connections on the board, and basically it makes the surface area of the board not require this, and yeah, you just save some space from a design standpoint. There's also some SATA cables for your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning rush drives. They also include these ROG keyring lanyard thingamajigs in all of their ROG boards, so yeah, because this is standard, why not include it? There is a single spare M.2 clip like the ASUS boards from Z590. They actually include these so you don't need to use screws to screw your M.2 drives to your board. There's also a bunch of zip ties or tweezers or cable ties or whatever you want to call them. Now, it includes this round circular device that I thought we were completely done with. We don't need these at all. Give us USB sticks. I know that the Maximus Hero has USB stick, so why not include it with the ITX board? There's also a sheet of stickers. This is also pretty standard with these ROG boards to customize your case, or you want to put it on your motherboard, or you know, you want to stick it on your door or on your wall or anywhere, they have these included. There's a little card that says, "Get ready to rock the gaming world with ROG STRIX. As a member of the elite gaming community, it's time to level up with Armory Crate, the ROG app that'll help you manage every aspect of your rig from initial setup and blah, 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 blah." You guys can read this, right? There's also the user guide. Now, this is standard stuff. This will show you where everything is on the board, what everything is on the board, some BIOS settings, and you know, just some general building stuff just to get you up and running. Okay, it's time to unsheath that little baby board, the ASUS ROG STRIX Z690-I gaming Wi-Fi. Let's take a bit of a closer look. First up on the mezzanine, we've got the front panel audio header. There's a PWM fan connector. There's also a USB 2.0 port that you use for that breakout cable that I showed a little bit earlier, and a 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB connector. On the right hand side of the board, you'll notice these two USB Type-C connectors that are sticking up. They're not actually for that. There's also a front panel USB-C connector, not trying to confuse you guys too much, a USB 3.2 header, and a 24-pin power connector to send juice to your brand new board. But let me just talk about those two connectors. Now, they are USB Type-C in specification, but that's not what they're for. They're for this little board. Now, what this board does is it adds the SATA connections, it also adds some additional RGB, and the front panel connectors for all your lights and all your switches as well. And the reason why they've done this is to save on surface area on this board and add as many features as they could possibly condense into such a small space. This is how it plugs in. It basically just lines up with the two ports and drops in. I like this solution, it's very elegant. Alrighty, back to the board. We've got a 4-pin 12-volt RGB header, 2 more PWM band connectors, and an 8-pin EPS power connector to send juice to your brand new 12th gen Alder Lake CPU. There's a single x 16 PCIe Gen 5 slot for your GPU as well. For power delivery, it's got a 10+1 phase digital VRM setup with 105 amp power stages. You'll notice that the I/O cover doubles as a heatsink for that VRM cooling as well, and there's a heat pipe that connects both of those heat sinks together for maximum heat dissipation. Because this is a Z690 board, it features Intel's brand new LGA 1700 socket for Alder Lake CPUs. It is not backwards compatible with any other Intel chips whatsoever and features 1700 socket pins for contact. What ASUS has done different to other motherboard manufacturers for this generation is they've got holes drilled for LGA 1200 and 15XX compatibility, which means if you've got an older cooler that's not necessarily compatible, you should be good to go. If we flip the board over and take a bit of a look at the backside, you'll notice there's no backplate on this board whatsoever, and you can actually see those pre-drilled holes from a different angle, albeit from the backside of the board. This board features 2 DDR5 RAM slots with support for up to 64 gigabytes of memory with 2 modules, but I'm not sure about the maximum speed here for the DDR5. Alrighty, let's remove the first layer of this 3-layer mezzanine on this new ASUS board. There is a PCIe Gen 4 M.2 slot on the top of the board. It also features that locking mechanism that we saw on Z590 as well. I can get behind this. Less screws, the better. But let's remove that second layer of the mezzanine. You can see that the screw is kind of embedded under the PCB, so you will need a small screwdriver to remove it. And you lift it up, and you'll notice there is one of those connectors as well, those mezzanine connectors that you typically see on server boards to plug that second layer in. There's also a ribbon cable that you saw me unplugging too. Here's a look at that mezzanine connector and also that other ribbon cable. These both need to be plugged in. And yeah, just a bit of a closer look at the second M.2 slot on the underside of that mezzanine layer and that connector as well. You know, I like to show you guys things that you may not see in other videos like this. Okay, there's a bunch of USB 3.2 ports on the back here. There's HDMI 2.0. There's 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. You heard that right. There's the antenna connectors for the Wi-Fi 6E. This also has 7.1 digital surround sound with SPDIF output. There's a clear CMOS button, a BIOS flashback button, and an integrated I/O shield. Before we continue, Claire, guess what? I read a comment yesterday and someone said, it's Z, not Z. I speak the Queen's English in Australia. I've only been saying Z to make you happy, but it's Z. Let's be honest. It doesn't matter. You're reading it, you know what it means. As far as ITX boards for this new Intel 12th gen platform, I think this ASUS board is supposed to be the duck's nuts. It's supposed to be the best one on the market in terms of features. It's got a lot of good stuff going for it, like its Thunderbolt. That triple layer mezzanine thing is just completely ridiculous. The little add-in card to add the front panel stuff back. The fact that you can add that back is just really cool, and it kind of saves some space on the PCB, and I think they actually put quite a bit more thought into this board than Gigabyte did with theirs, and it's not often that I would come out and say something like that, but this thing looks really well put together. Even the other little things like the extra holes that are drilled for legacy coolers, so like stuff for LGA 15XX and for 1200 coolers, looks like we're not going to have any problems with that kind of stuff. In fact, I think all the ASUS boards have been doing that. We've got a bunch more to check out. I don't know if you can see any of them, but they're all up on the shelf now. Most of the boards I've put up there. A couple I haven't yet, but you know. In terms of pricing for the ASUS ROG Strix Z690-I gaming Wi-Fi, I did find some pricing. The pricing in US dollars is looking to be around $439 US. And in Australia, we're getting reamed as per usual at 849 Aussie dollars. Why is it like double the price? What is going on? These prices for this new stuff is kind of ridiculous. I get it. You know, new emerging technologies, PCIe Gen 5, DDR5, all this stuff, but why do we have to pay more for it here in Australia? It just doesn't make sense. But I think that's just about gonna do it. I don't have much more to say about this board. We will be doing a build with this very, very soon. I've got some really cool plans for this little bitty already. We're gonna chuck a 12900K on it when we're allowed to. It's gonna be pretty cool. Anyways, guys, if you like the music you heard here, I make all the music. If you like what you saw, you know what to do, smash the like button. If you hated it, hit the dislike button twice. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, you seek. It's time for some cinematic tings. Let's do it.